This week on Horror News Radio, the Scarehouse. This is episode 93, recorded January 12th, 2014.
Scarehouse was one of your favorite films.
It was one of my favorite films last year. Yes, it was.
Yes, and you recommended that we watch. You saw it at New York Film Festival?
New York City Horror Film Festival.
And how well did it do there?
It won the Best Feature Film award.
Oh.
Well, it did very well then.
Did very well.
I know that
we liked it a great deal.
I know that our friend of the podcast, Christopher G. Moore, wrote a review on IMDb for it. So,
did he?
I caught that. Yeah. And he liked it as well, praising the cast. We should get into it. Gavin Michael Booth is the writer-director. And this is an independent film, right? It's just a low-budget, low independent film. And it has an all-female cast.
Well, there's a couple of guys in there. But
there's like one guy that wanders in.
They don't really, he's not very germane to the plot.
Yep. I only counted 4 third legs going around in here, so.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But Thomas, you are the resident synopsis. Oh, you didn't see the film, so you're not going to be able to do it. You only saw the first 30 minutes. You had technical issues?
Due to internet difficulties, I couldn't manage to see the whole film. So I'm not going to place any judgments on it. So you guys take that away.
All right. Well, I'll try. I can't live up to your awesomeness, but I'm going to give it a shot. The film basically follows 2 sorority sisters who had been in jail for 2 years. They slipped some roofies to a young man who they wanted to humiliate, got caught and sent to jail because he ended up choking on his own vomit. Now, the story behind it is that they were put up to it by the other sorority sisters, and none of them ended up supporting them in any way, and they did time. Now they work at a haunted attraction, and they've set up, I guess, a killing room, and invite each and every one back to face their fate. Fair?
Fair.
All right.
That works.
Quite impressive, Doctor.
Outside of the young man that chokes on his vomit and wears a dress and gets this big clown makeup on his face, there's one drunk guy that wanders in, and then there's 2 other fellows that stumble upon the room where they station the victims, which is where I want to start, because I thought that was what the most fascinating thing about the film itself was, the location. And I thought they made the most of it. Because they are in a haunted attraction in the middle of Halloween, they can put these girls out right in the middle, in front of everybody, and they just think they're part of the show.
Yep.
And that is so frightening and awesome at the same time. And the one scene where the 2 guys are like banging on the window, laughing at her and saying that she's doing such a bad job, and she's literally in there screaming for her life as 2 of the other victims are bleeding out next to her. Santos, start us off by sharing why you recommend the film so much.
I think it's a really sharp screenplay. I thought it was, I don't want to say witty. I think I used the word witty before, and witty denotes something different than this. But I think the better word is smart. I think the screenplay is really smart. It's smart because it doesn't go where you think it's going to go. Like it starts to feel formula, and then when you expect it to go one way, it goes the other way. It takes a left turn when you expect a right, and very unexpectedly. Like some of the twists in the movie were really, gobsmacking twists. You're like, wow, shit. And in addition to all that, it's really well acted, especially the 2 leads. The 2 girls are named Corey and Elena, and Corey's played by Sarah Booth, who co-wrote the script and is handily married to the director, which is good for her, good career move on her part.
Or his.
And Elena's played by Kimberly Sue Murray, and they're really good because what they're doing is despicable, and initially it is despicable. But when you find out why, you sort of kind of almost want to relate to them and their situation. And they're genuinely likable. I wonder how much, if any, of the script was ad-libbed, because some of the lines just feel like they act and feel like two people have known each other their whole lives, not like since childhood. There's a nice rapport between the two lead characters that really helps the viewer get invested in their story and take pity on them after a while. I can't say much because there's spoilers, but and the movie doesn't take itself very seriously, but I feel like the people who made it took it very seriously. They didn't have a lot of resources, and they made a really good, suspenseful, exciting, smart little horror movie. I think it's the goods. I really think it brings the goods, man. It has everything you could want. It's got hot chicks, got a fair amount of brutality and violence, great script, great acting, great story. Fuck, man. It's like the antithesis. Everything that Rec 4 isn't,
it is.
This movie is. It's a great movie. I loved it. I loved Scarehouse. And the audience that I saw it with at the last year's festival was equally receptive. Everyone loved the Scarehouse. It's just, it got a great reception. It really did.
The Scarehouse. Dave, is the Black Saint full of shit, or is he right? Is he on the money? Well, let them answer the question real quick, and then.
Oh wait, that's what I say. Lots of people think I'm full of shit. I just want to for completely different reasons. I just want to say to get out of the way.
I really enjoyed the Scarehouse. I thought it was a really well done film. I was a little confused with all the flashbacks. They lost me a couple different times with what they were doing, because it's kind of a convoluted story, and you really don't find out why the girls are doing what they do until about almost 2/3 of the way through the movie, when you finally find out what happened. And when they kept going back to that gaggle of girls all talking shit to one, I'm like, what is this? Why do I care about this? I don't understand what this is. And then the girls would show up at that skank door or the slut door.
The slut door, yes.
Yeah, which I liked. I thought that was great that they had that door. And I really loved how the people in the pay line, just kind of in the background, you'd hear these little quips that they were screaming, like, don't bother, bitch. They already have enough skeletons in there, and shit like that. And they were like thrown in there, and I really enjoyed those. But I'm like, I wasn't drawing the parallel between the girls in the flashbacks, and that's one of those girls standing at that door, until they tried to kill the one that they lock in the basement that is like some kind of a fucking commando, and they can't kill her. And then I finally put it together, and it's like, oh, okay, this is those girls, and they don't really explain that. And I was like, what am I watching? What the hell is this? But once you put it all together, it's a really good story. I think they could have maybe done a little better job of setting all that up. For me, but then again, I'm a fucking idiot, so what do I know? I love the fact that they choke a chick to death with her own breast implant. You gotta love that. What's there not to love there? I also love the glass coated dildo. we got some creative shit going on here. At the end of the day, I think I seen the end coming. I knew one of them was going to fuck the other one over. It was just a matter of which one it was going to be. So without getting into too much spoilers territory, I thought the ending was rather predictable. I seen it coming from about 150 miles off.
Oh man!
So,
I'm going to say I didn't.
With all that being said, given the budget I'm sure they had to work with, and all that, it is a very enjoyable film.
I did not see the ending coming at all.
Yeah, I was going to step in with that as well.
I totally saw it.
Did you?
It was like Saw.
Like
It was a fucking Saw movie.
Scream.
It was
It's Scream.
Yeah,
it's the exact ending of Scream 1, I totally saw that coming.
Yeah. And it reminded me, I seen shades of like Ginger Snaps in this. I seen shades of Saw in this. I seen shades of Scream in it. There's nothing really fantastically original in here, but it was still very well done.
Vixen, step in here with your thoughts. It's an all-female cast. As a female,
so,
what did that mean to you?
So as we all know, I am not the biggest fan of like gore type movies like Hostel or any of these So that's the only thing that I didn't like. There were certain times when I looked away, I thought it was a little too much. But that said, I thought the cast was great. I thought the acting was great. I thought the story was well done for only having the budget that they have. I thought they made a really, really good movie. I really liked the way they used the Scarehouse. Like Dave, it took me a while to put together that these were flashbacks. For a while, I thought that this was just a group of girls who were going to go to the Scarehouse. Like I wasn't putting together that it was a flashback. But once I did, I was like, oh, okay. Like now this kind of makes sense. The ending I did see coming. And for a minute, I was like, oh, I think that's where they're going to go with it. And then there was a second there where I was like, oh, I guess they're not. But then I was like, oh, they are. So, which if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. There's a moment where I assumed, spoiler alert, I won't say who, but I thought one was going to jump and the other one was going to be like, I didn't jump. Yeah. But then they both did. And I was like, oh, okay. But then the ending happened. So I did see that kind of twist coming. But outside of that, I thought it was a really, really, really good movie. And I thought the two girls, I think Thomas was the one who said, Santos, there was an ease between them. Like you could feel that connection. I guess the kind of connection two girls would make when they're in prison together. But, they just seemed to be really bonded and really close. And this was their project that they were doing together, to get their revenge on these girls who basically sold them down the river for $40,000 each. So I think it's a really good movie. I think if you're okay with the kind of torturing graphic stuff that I'm not a huge fan of, I think you're going to love this movie. I think that's fair.
Fair. Yeah.
I thought the girl who played, I apologize, I don't know the names, but the girl that played the Bible thumper girl, the one that they have in the bathtub that they're going to electrocute.
Oh yeah.
I thought she was fantastic, especially there in that bathtub scene where she's just getting. I believe the one girl says, "All right, red state," she's just snapping that, which was a great line. But she was really good. You could tell she was just on the brink of madness, and it was truly creepy.
Well, I thought the suspense in that scene was high as well. I thought it was really, you didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, I didn't care for the TV thing. I thought that was kind of dumb. She should have just she dropped the hairdryer in the water. She should have just gone over and plugged the hairdryer in. The TV in the bathtub was kind of dumb.
I'm like, just plug it in. Yeah. It's right there, right next to you.
I don't know. I kind of enjoyed the TV thing. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, I like the TV.
The way it bounced around.
TV didn't do it for me.
I like the fact that she had to hold up the hairdryer for so long.
Yeah.
And the way it just made her that much more insane looking. And then I like the chick that was kind of kicking their ass. And the only thing that did her in is that she tried to run away and ran into a dead end and they trapped her. And then I also like the girl that came in and was so scared that she just said, I'll do whatever you want. Just take me out of this place. And they're like, okay, come on with me.
Yeah, this movie was like Mean Girls on steroids. But
yep.
I liked it. And I like the fact that it was an all-female cast because I think sometimes these movies can seem so misogynistic. You'll have like a male lead and then they kill off all of these females. But the fact that it was an all-female cast, I think for me, took that element out of it.
Is there a word for woman on woman, like male on female violence, stuff like that is misogyny? Is there a word for woman on woman violence like that? Or is that misogyny as well? I don't know.
I guess anytime it's against women is technically misogynistic. If you hate everybody, you're a misanthrope.
That's me.
I feel like what was that movie that we saw? Was it Pinup Girls on Ice or something?
Pinup Girls on Ice.
And remember we were sitting this was at last year's New York Horror Film Festival, and we were sitting in the audience, and the first thing I said was how misogynistic it was. And that was the first comment that was made. Like I think it's so much more obvious when it's a male lead who's basically like slaughtering women. Whereas this, it was still girls hating girls, but it wasn't just for the fact that they were female. It was because they had done something to them, and this was their revenge. So I think for me, that's why it took that element out of it, because I think you see that a lot in these kinds of movies.
Yeah. I just have one question about this film, and that is why is there so much vomit? Why does everybody have to throw up?
Because girls throw up.
Oh, God.
Oh, stop.
I just had to say it. I was waiting for a reaction. That's all. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know.
Because they were doing some really disgusting things, and people were scared, and that's a natural human reaction.
Is this a natural, or is it something to fall to kind of show that
it's a
that
visual
gross
thing, man? No one likes to look at vomit. It's the whole idea of looking at someone vomit and vomit. A pool of it lying on the floor. That's just.
Well, I mean, this one girl just vomited all over herself.
It's the ultimate visceral reaction, right? When you get scared, you vomit. When you're anxious, you get nauseous. When you see something horrific, you throw up. When you get horrible news and you can't handle it, I think that vomiting is just one of those extreme visceral reactions that says, like, this shit is, like, intense.
Yeah, I
dig it.
I see where you're going with that, but I was wondering, they used it so much. Did they overuse it? Because I guess I'm going to weigh that in, because I felt they did. That I just saw too much vomit.
Doc, maybe this has a lot to say about your own emetophobia.
Is that what it is? I'm
fear of vomiting.
Fear of vomiting.
You have a fear of vomiting.
I didn't even really pick up. I don't even.
Because I didn't notice it.
Oh, that one girl just stood there and threw up all over herself. Just the one scene
where she throws up on the chick's butt. That's the only one I remember.
Right. I was like, is there another one? Because I really don't remember that much vomiting.
Yeah, they throw up all over the place. And then at the party, she takes that drink and immediately just vomits all over her shirt.
Okay, drunk girls vomiting at the party is not.
Well, they weren't even at the party yet. There was their first drink. Anyway, whatever.
You really shouldn't see slaughtered vomit dolls then.
Oh, no. I can't be doing that.
I don't want to see that.
I'm not going to see anything that has actually vomit or puke in the title.
You do not want to see that.
I mean, they're just everywhere. It's vomits everywhere. Just like, bleh. God.
But did you like the movie overall?
I did like the movie overall. I did. And I really liked it the more it went, which I mean that it escalated really well. And by the time it got down to the last couple of girls that entered the house, they had things set up so well, because they had the girl locked in the basement, and then they had the other girls tied to the chair that was still alive, and then they had a couple that were dead, and then and how was this all how were they going to keep everything together? They were starting to lose their grip on their plan, and I thought that was kind of interesting, the way it was teetering on falling apart. It never really did, but
the script really takes pains to amp up the tension logically. You know what I mean? It's not, and when it gets to that point, like you're talking about now, it's still you never get the sense that they're looking for a way to end it quickly. The script is. Mm-hmm. It's almost, I want to use the word meticulous. It's like, it's a very well thought out script, and it's very well paced. It does what it needs to do in a logical sense. It keeps the movie going. The movie doesn't lag. The movie doesn't get boring. It never slows down. It just builds up tension and amps up very nicely till the night. The ending that apparently Dave and Vixen
saw coming, right?
Saw coming, and I didn't, and you didn't. I didn't see that. I didn't see that coming. But I love this movie. I thought it was a great, big surprise.
Well, I did.
The title is very generic.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you about the smart script, because they do something that's very repetitive. They introduce the girls one at a time coming through the door, and that really runs a danger of falling on that repetition.
But it doesn't.
And it doesn't. And they, because they vary it.
Right.
Even though, each character is kind of a stereotype walking through the door, they still make the most of it, and they make the best of it. And they surprise us with some, like the action chick, which I was really surprised with. That whole thing, just like, what the hell is going on? This is awesome. She's going to kick their ass.
I love that movie. It's such a great time. My biggest problem with the movie is the poster art.
Yeah, it's a little weak, huh?
I hate the poster. I
don't think it doesn't express what the film is terribly
nothing.
well. Yeah.
To me,
sorry guys,
like
whoever designed it. Sorry.
One of those '80s sorority slasher movies that somebody in it with a hood and a knife killing sorority girls. From
prom night. Prom night.
It's so generic. It is just prom night. Oh yeah, exactly. It looks like prom night. It's just a generic poster. I can't stand it, man. The movie's deserving of a far better advertisement than that. Besides that, man, I thought this movie was freaking awesome.
Awesome. Thomas, before we move into our final thoughts, did you see enough to weigh in on any of it, or would you rather...
My usual philosophy on a film, Doc, is I don't want to place complete final judgments until I see the whole thing. I may have broken that a few times on the show, and I regret those times, so I'm not going to do it again.
Fair enough.
So responsible.
I like that. I like that.
We'll be doing it again next week.
What a sharp young man.
Exactly.
I saw 15 minutes. Fuck this.
Like, this movie sucks. I don't even need to see the rest of it. That's going to be next week.
All right. Well, let's do our final thoughts. Dave, what is your score on this, and do you recommend it?
I do recommend it, and to anybody who want to watch it, some words of advice: just know all those scenes with scantily clad women are flashbacks. That'll help you understand what's going on a little more. But yeah, I'd give it. I'd say 3.5 out of 5.
3.5 out of 5. I
enjoyed it.
Nice. I like that. So you do recommend it. All right, Vixen. What I do? What is your recommendation? What is your score?
I would recommend it if, again, I'm not a big fan of gore, but if you are a fan of those kinds of things, then you get a lot of it in this movie, and it's very varied and very well planned. And I would give it a 3.25, which is higher than the other movie. And I know that initially I said I kind of like, but the more that I think about this one and just what was done on the budget and the acting and the script, I do like this one better. I would give it a 3.25.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. Mr. Black Saint. You reviewed this for the site. What was your score? And it was in your top 10. Do we even have to ask?
Yeah, I gave it 4.5. I love this movie. I would put it on my top 10 this year. But that wouldn't be fair because I saw it last year. Even I believe it gets released next week. I think it's next Tuesday.
Yes.
I think it's tomorrow.
Yes.
Or is it tomorrow? Could be tomorrow.
That is this week.
I thought it said the 13th or the 14th. So.
Okay, then it's tomorrow. It comes out tomorrow. I heartily recommend that anyone listening to this or anyone who read the review find it and see it. It's a good time at the movies, man. It really is. I love nearly everything about it. I'm not going to say it's perfect because what's perfect nowadays?
Yeah.
But this is fucking close. It's a great movie. I love it.
It really is a good film, and it's a kind of a good take on the slasher films and I guess the torture porn in a way, right?
Yeah.
I tried to avoid using that term.
That's
what I thought about when I was watching it. I'm like, eh.
Yeah, I gave it a 3.5. I do recommend it, and as Santo said, it is by the time you hear this, it will be available on VOD, and I recommend supporting it and
go
watching
watch it.
Yep. All right, well.